In the early morning of November 18, 2009, horror strikes in Ohio.
911, you need police, fire, ambulance.
I need help.
What's going on? Ma'am, listen to me. What is going on? What do you need, police?
Somebody shot my husband.
This is the voice of Julene Simcoe. Someone shot her husband while she was sleeping under the same roof.
Woke up to whatever sound that I heard obviously was a gunshot.
Julene seems to be the lucky survivor of a horrific attack.
There's somebody in
In the house?
And for years, the culprit remains at large.
After Lorain County man was murdered in his home, his family continues their search for answers and a killer.
That is, until the cops make a startling discovery, one that makes them question everything they thought they knew.
Is there anything about this incident that you haven't told us that you would like to tell us?
No. Obviously, I didn't shoot Jeremy. I didn't kill my husband.
So who did? A secret document, a comprehensive security system, and years worth of lies. Here on The Decoder, this is the chilling story of Jeremy and Julene Simcoe. "31-year-old Julene calls 911 at just after 6 a.m.
Is he still breathing? He's not breathing? Okay, do you want to try? Let's try to give him CPR, okay? Is he on the floor? Is he on the floor?
No, he's in the bed.
When the first responders arrive, they find her husband of 10 years, 36-year-old Jeremy, already dead. He's been shot in the back of the head at point-blank range.
He was shot in a manner that causes us great concern.
The medical examiner finds that Jeremy has a small amount of Benadryl in his system, but nowhere near enough to be significant in the investigation. In his house, there's a .357 Magnum lying on the kitchen floor. A chair in the kitchen has been knocked over, and there's a purse next to it, still full of cash. The couple's 5 dogs are tied up in the backyard, where there's also a discarded pair of black gloves and a set of unidentified footprints. Signs point to a strange intruder, but other signs do not. The security system is functional, and there are no signs of forced entry. Moreover, there's no foreign DNA in the house at all. Investigators can dread a case like this. They follow up on various tips, but they struggle to find any concrete answers. A strange person seen walking around a few nights earlier, talking on his cell phone before getting picked up in a car. A neighbor who previously pointed a gun at someone and had a key to the house. A suggestion that the killing could have been a drug deal gone bad. A neighbor witnessed Jeremy arguing with one of his contractors, who threatened him.
You know, he said, if I would have had a gun, I would have I'd shoot your ass right now for all the bullshit that you've been doing, you know, and trying to undercut me and all this bullshit. And then it was right after that, that's when the murder occurred.
But when the police find the contractor, it's a dead end. He has an alibi. Many theories like this abound, but the case begins to go cold.
It has been just over 7 months since the 36-year-old Simcoe was found dead in his Vermilion home, killed by a single gunshot wound to the head. With time removed from the shock of the crime, his family gathered tonight to remember.
It's nigh impossible for Jeremy's family to move on while his murder goes unsolved.
Well, we had some problems in the beginning at the funeral. It just didn't work out with the other family, so we decided to do it on our own and have our own service, and we're glad we did.
Tensions were reportedly high in Jeremy's family already. They were partly estranged, and his sister sent him an email just days before his death attempting to reconcile. He never replied.
He was part of our family, and like every family, we had some differences, but he was as close to me as my daughters.
Because of these tensions, there's doubt as to whether Julene will ever attend the memorial. She wants to remain loyal to her husband, she says. In the end, she does go, But the tensions don't end there. She puts their shared home up for sale, listed for $199,000. But it's not about the money. In May 2010, she calls the police when Jeremy's sister turns up for a scheduled appointment to view the property. The sister says she didn't go to start trouble, that she genuinely wanted to buy the house to preserve Jeremy's memory. Julene, however, would rather it stays buried.
That day and was like, you guys need to leave the property. So we're not on friendly terms anymore. I really didn't want to be around her, neither did anybody in the family, because we honestly all wanted to smack her really hard. That's putting it nicely.
Meanwhile, the investigation continues to falter.
A lot of things they haven't told me, and they just told me to be patient, and sooner or later that justice will be served, and we'll find out who did this to him.
November 2013. Jeremy has been dead for over 4 years, and the cops have called on Julene again, requesting another interview to clarify some details on the case. They've been working quietly on their investigation all this time, and they think they've found something that changes everything. Julene agrees to appear at the police station with her attorney.
My name is Rick Thomas. I'm an investigator with Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office.
Before they begin, her attorney has a question.
It was an article that appeared in the Lorraine Journal on October 4th of 2012. And it says, after almost 3 years of investigating, Vermilion Police Chief Chris Hartung said yesterday the police department feels they have identified the murderer of Jeremy Simcoe, thus concluding their investigation. Well, if you guys already know who did this murder, then I'm not exactly sure why you're talking to Julene. And if you've determined that Julene is that person, then we need to know that.
The cops explain that this is an active investigation. If they knew for certain who murdered Jeremy, they'd have arrested that person already. And they make it quite clear that Julene isn't under arrest. Not yet.
Do you mind if I call you Julene, or is there something else you prefer I call you, ma'am, Mrs.?
Julene is fine.
Okay, all right. I certainly don't want to be disrespectful in any regard. Okay, on Wednesday, November 18, 2009, at approximately 6 a.m., your husband was found shot through the head in your home in your bedroom. If you could, I'd like you to please recount for us your activities leading up to that event, beginning with the previous 24 hours, going back to Tuesday morning, November 17, 2009, and then going forward to the time you called 911, and then after that we'll discuss the following days after that event.
Julene was interviewed 4 times on the day of the murder. Once at the scene, once at the hospital where she was taken when she couldn't calm down, and twice at her mother's house. Each time, her statement was consistent. Now, in 2013, the cops want to establish a baseline.
During the day, we worked on the property behind us, worked in the yard, leaves, raking leaves, etc. Yard work in general.
Okay.
We were canning pumpkins the night before.
Jeremy and Julene owned and ran a tree service business together. Living in a countryside property on the outskirts of Vermilion on the shores of Lake Erie, they were living the kind of rural idyll that many couples dream of.
That evening we were canning pumpkins, watching a TV show, discussing, future plans. We went, I don't know what time we went to bed for sure, but when we went to sleep, we usually go sleep together. I believe Jeremy had taken the dogs out, hooked them up before we went up. Went to sleep at some point during the night. The dogs were barking outside, and he had woke up and, yelled out the window at the dogs. And then both went back to sleep. And at another point during the night, I, went up to the 3rd floor and went to sleep up there. And then I woke up to whatever sound that I heard obviously was a gunshot.
In an instant, that rural idyll was shattered.
I went back down to the second floor because I thought Jeremy was shooting out the window. And I went to the bedroom and I found him in the bed. And I thought I heard some noises out in the hallway. I realized that something was wrong, that I heard some noises out in the hallway, and I picked up a gun out of the drawer and I shot towards the hallway.
She used the 9mm she kept on her nightstand to fire 2 warning shots at a possible intruder.
And then I went in the bed to help Jeremy, and I called 911.
Okay.
And then I was on the phone with the 911 operator until the police got there.
And what happened then?
After the police got there, I remember them coming into the room. I think there were 2 or 3 of them, and I kind of remember little parts. And when I was at the hospital, in the hospital room, they kind of, I don't remember really ever seeing any like staff or anything. I don't remember seeing a doctor or a nurse. I remember them at some point asking to call my mom because I realized where I was and that she worked there, and they wouldn't let me out of the room. They wouldn't let me call her. They said I couldn't leave, that I had to stay there, and that they weren't calling her right now. And I remember being questioned by the detective.
In the chaos of the minutes after her husband was murdered, it's understandable that Julene's recollection is a little hazy, especially 4 years later. But in any murder investigation, it's the details that matter.
What I'd like to do now is we're going to conduct more of a detailed question and answer regarding that, hoping we can, if we work together here, and because this is so important, that we try together to maybe improve your recall a little bit about how this happened. So let's talk about when you went to bed that night. Let's start there, if you don't mind. What time was that?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't have any idea? Was it early? Was it late?
Maybe 11, 12 o'clock.
11, 12 o'clock. Okay, so you were canning pumpkins, or pumpkin, was it pumpkin or pumpkin seed or what?
Pumpkins in general.
Okay. All right, so you're canning pumpkins. And while you're canning pumpkins, what is Jeremy doing?
We were both working at it together.
Okay, so you're both there. Was anybody else in the house?
No.
Okay. And at what point did you cease canning pumpkins?
I don't remember.
Julene noticed nothing suspicious that evening at all.
Who locked up the house when you went upstairs?
I really don't know.
Okay. Did you say, perhaps I read it, but correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that Jeremy went out and locked up the dogs or hooked up the dogs? What does that involve when you say he goes out and hooks up the dogs?
They had houses around the yard with chains, so he would hook everybody up.
Okay. Now, that chain lets him move how much?
I have no idea.
I mean, was it 6 foot, 8 foot, 20 foot?
Yes.
Was it a lead? Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
6 to 8 feet, I have no idea.
Okay, but they could move in and out of their houses, right?
They had a whole
They each
area.
could come in and out of their house when they were hooked up. Okay, I just want to make sure. All right. And was it generally the practice for who to lock up the house?
It just depended. It wasn't really anybody's job.
Okay.
Either him or I did it.
Who did it? Predominantly,
no
who did it? You have no idea?
It was a combined effort. Whoever was the last one.
Okay.
These might seem like extraneous details. Julene clearly thinks something like the length of the dog's chains is irrelevant, but it's all part of building a case. The dogs were known to bark at intruders. A neighbor makes this clear.
With the dogs on that, it was if he was around, they were minded. But you'd see if they were. He had them on a chain out, in the yard,
right?
And they would always come flying out if anything was going on. So.
Okay. And the dogs, would they bark if they heard commotions in the area?
Yeah, even like on my driveway over there, even if I'd walk out my back door, the gravel on a still night.
He didn't hear any disturbances at all on the night in question.
Did you hear their dogs barking during the middle of the night or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Back to Julene.
During the course of that night, before you went to bed, did either one of you take any medication?
Jeremy did.
And what did he take?
I believe he took sleeping pills.
Okay, and how do you recall that?
He normally did before we went to sleep. It was a normal habit of his.
That explains the Benadryl in Jeremy's system. Just another part of his nighttime routine. So far, no dice.
Had there been any arguing?
No.
Okay. No discussions, no disputes, anything at all?
Nope.
Okay. You and he weren't having any discussions about or concerns about money or buying property or anything like that?
I mean, the property was definitely on our minds.
Okay. But was it causing any tension or stress?
No more than usual.
Well, I don't know what usual would be.
We wanted the property, so that's what we were aiming for. So was there stress? There was stress over getting the property.
Okay.
Was it stress between us? No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Just in general.
Around November 2009, Julene and Jeremy were trying to get a loan from the bank in order to buy several acres worth of empty land near their property. They were already using it for their business, and they wanted to formalize the arrangement. Some bad payments on their credit report, however, meant that they were struggling. Just a few days before Jeremy's death, the bank denied their loan application.
How would you describe your relationship with Jeremy?
It was a good relationship. He was the love of my life.
Okay. How long had you been married?
10 years.
And how long did you date before you were married?
Date, probably 6 months. I'd known him years before.
And how did you know him?
Through a friend.
Okay. You didn't go to school with him or anything like that?
No, he lived close to my parents' house, so.
Okay. All right. How often would you guys have arguments or fights?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know how
I wouldn't know.
I don't know how to answer that. Did we argue? Yeah, everybody argues. How often? I don't know. As often as other people argue.
Julene denies that they were facing any marital strife. Running a business together and living together, they spent most of their time with each other. But apparently, this did not take a toll.
When you did argue, did it ever become violent?
I did tell the detective that he did hit me one time.
How long ago was that?
That was the only time, probably when we first got married.
What was that all about?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
When you say he hit you, what do you mean by that?
He slapped me in the face.
Okay.
And I hit him back. Okay. And that was the end of that.
And that was the end of it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And since that time, he had never struck you again?
No.
Okay.
According to Julene, conflict between them became physical just the once, and she could resist his temper, which, according to other witnesses, could be formidable. He was described as a hothead. He frequently made enemies, cursed at workers on his job sites, and could be highly demanding. He and Julene, however, lived in harmony.
At some point, the dogs woke us up barking.
Okay.
I think Jeremy was restless. He took another sleeping pill after that.
Okay.
And then at some point, he was snoring, which he did all the time. And I got up and I took, I think, a half a sleeping pill, and I went up to the 3rd floor.
To get a better night's sleep, she left Jeremy snoring to sleep on a couch on the 3rd floor.
What's the next thing you remember after falling asleep on the 3rd floor?
I remember hearing a noise that woke me up.
How can you best describe that noise to me?
It was a noise. I don't really recall what it was. I mean, when something wakes you up, how do you describe it? I don't know. It's something loud that woke me up.
Okay. Were you sleeping soundly? Was it a fitful sleep? I
have no idea how I was sleeping.
Okay.
She struggles to describe whatever woke her. She does not say it was a gunshot.
What caused you to go downstairs?
I assumed Jeremy was awake shooting out the window.
Okay.
So if he was awake, then I was going to go downstairs because he was awake and I was awake.
And was that a practice that you guys engaged in frequently?
What's that?
Shooting out the window?
Yes.
Okay. And
Quite
what typically
often.
would you shoot at?
Coyotes, raccoons, groundhogs.
Okay. And that late at night, you weren't concerned about it? I'm assuming this is something you had done previously, correct?
many times.
Both Jeremy and Julene had concealed carry permits and kept several guns in the house, including in their bedroom. According to Julene, they were mainly used to protect the property from wildlife.
All right, you're in the bedroom. Did you pause at the doorway or did you walk right in?
I don't remember.
Okay. As best you can recall, what did you do after you entered the bedroom?
I can keep going with this. I went over. Jeremy was sort of like, from what I can remember, in the middle of the bed, kind of.
Okay.
It seemed like.
All right.
Over this way, a little more maybe towards my side,
Okay.
because I walked over to my side of the bed. It looked like he was sleeping.
And what happened next?
I went to wake him up.
Okay. And how did you try to wake him up?
I don't really remember. I mean, to be honest, I just, went to touch him to wake him up.
Do you remember where you touched him at?
I don't have any idea.
Did you say anything to him?
I mean, I'm sure I was, saying something. I don't know what I said.
Okay.
If I said anything.
All right. So you try to wake him up, and what happens next?
I felt that there was like the blood or whatever in the bed.
What did you think that was?
I had no idea.
Okay.
But at that point I felt, like something obviously wasn't right.
The investigators still want her to be more specific.
What exactly, as best you can recall, when you tried to wake him up, did you experience that made you feel something was wrong?
He wasn't responding to me.
Okay.
And then I felt something wet, and then almost immediately heard noise
Okay.
out in the hallway that I, somewhere. I don't know where it was coming from. I heard noise. And
Okay. All right. You heard a noise. What kind of noise did you hear?
I have no idea what it was, whether it was something falling or somebody moving. There was a definite sound of something.
And what area?
Outside of the bedroom.
Another unspecified noise.
And what did you do then?
I grabbed the gun.
Where did you grab the gun from?
Out of my dresser.
Okay. And where was it at in your dresser?
In the drawer.
Okay. Is that normally where that gun is at?
Either or. I mean, sometimes it was in his dresser, sometimes it was in mine. We'd been cleaning and stuff was moved around, so.
So you're right here. You've got the safety off. What is your next action?
I shot towards the doorway.
Okay.
Or, out of the doorway.
And what were you shooting at?
I was just shooting because I heard noise out there.
Mm-hmm.
So my reaction was just to shoot. I don't know who's out there. There's nobody else in the house. It's Jeremy and I. There should be nobody else in that house.
Okay.
Not expecting any company, and with Jeremy clearly seriously hurt in his bed, Julene's reaction is to shoot first, ask questions later. Maybe any of us would do the same.
What's the next thing you did?
I think what I did next was I ran over and shut the bedroom door and locked it.
Okay, and then what did you do?
And then I went back to the bed.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I think I rolled Jeremy over. I noticed there was a lot of blood. I think I put a towel, on his head where it was bleeding.
Okay.
I looked for a phone to call, and the phone was usually, I think the charger was probably over here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see the phones, and his phone was on his dresser. So I used that phone.
That's when Julene called 911.
So now you're calling the 911 operator, correct? Okay. What transpired during that period of time? What did you do?
I remember pulling him off the bed, as she instructed me to do, to get him onto the floor.
And how did you do that?
I don't know how I grabbed him. I grabbed him and pulled him off the bed over to here.
Okay. All right. Did you set the phone down when you were doing that? Were you holding the phone? Did you have what were you doing at that time?
I don't remember where the phone was.
Doing what the operator told her, she says she tried to resuscitate her husband, but it didn't work.
Was there a point prior to the arrival of the police that you believed he was deceased?
I wasn't sure.
Well, I understand you weren't sure. Was there a point that you thought he's gone?
I don't really know. What I was thinking at that point.
Okay.
Julene emphasized her emotional distress when the police arrived.
I don't really recall everything, but I remember hearing them asking to come into the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
They were outside the door, and the door was locked.
Okay. And what point did you open at? Before they got there, or while they were
No,
coming
I
up the
opened it
steps?
after
Or?
they must have been at the door because I heard them there.
And what's the mechanism for locking that door?
I think it was a little, like a lever.
Okay. All right.
She got up to let them in. Again, what might sound like a minor detail could turn out to be the key that unlocks this whole investigation, 4 years in the making. If she thought her husband was dying, why would she have wasted time locking the door behind her? Unless, of course, it was already locked, and she and Jeremy were the only ones inside. To give Julene a breather, they turn away from that traumatic night and ask her more about her life with Jeremy.
And prior to this, had you ever shot a gun before?
Yes.
Okay. How many times would you say?
I have no idea. I never shot a gun until I met Jeremy.
Okay. How soon after you met Jeremy did you begin shooting guns?
Probably pretty quickly.
Okay. And you got married
I started
in what year?
hunting with him right away.
Before you were married, or?
Yeah, before we were married.
Okay. So, and you were married, what, 14 years?
10 years at the
10
time.
years. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Were you and Jeremy the type of people that if you use equipment, you clean it after you use it?
Not every time.
Not every time?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever clean the weapons?
I helped him. I never did it by myself.
The cops believe the murder weapon was the .357 Magnum found on the floor in the kitchen, one of Jeremy's own guns. The bullet was never recovered, and the gun itself was clean of any DNA or blowback from the wound, even though he was shot at point-blank range. What does this suggest? Well, it suggests that whoever wielded the gun cleaned it afterwards.
We have some issues with regard to a number of inconsistencies that have come up during the period of this investigation. And I understand that there's trauma involved here, that it's a difficult time, but we're left with a feeling that we don't have the complete story. And if we did, we probably would have been beyond this point today, okay? Can you understand what I'm saying? All right. So before we get into the inconsistencies, is there anything about this incident that you haven't told us that you would like to tell us?
No.
Okay.
An hour into the interview, the investigators are closing in. It's time for Julene to tell the truth.
Julene, when you fired the gun in the bedroom, did you use one or two hands?
I don't remember what I used.
Okay. Normally, when you shoot,
I didn't shoot that gun very often. I probably used two hands.
Okay. Just based on what you're telling us, you take the gun with you to the bed, and prior to taking your gun with you, when you checked Jeremy, you also felt something wet. I'm assuming that was blood. Okay. After you shoot, you go to the bed and you take the gun with you. And as you indicated, there was blood everywhere. Did you wipe that gun off in any way? And the reason I ask you that is because there wasn't any blood on that weapon that you fired. I'm assuming that had you had it on your hands or in the bed, there would have been some blood on there. And I didn't know if you had wiped the gun off in any way.
I don't remember wiping it.
There was no blood on her 9mm either, though she claims to have touched Jeremy's blood, saying that's how she discovered he was hurt. How else could she have known in a darkened room, unless she'd cleaned the gun, or even more sinister, killed him herself?
You had indicated that normally when Jeremy hooked the dogs up, he would lock the doors. I think in a previous statement you had indicated to the police that this was something that he normally did. So when he went out to hook up the dogs, he normally came in and he would lock all the doors. That was kind of like
he
his
was the
thing.
last one, yeah.
Yeah. There was no fingerprints of Jeremy found on the door to the kitchen, and no DNA that would have indicated that he would have touched that door.
Well, he would have touched the door. That was the only door we used in the house.
I know, and I didn't know whether or not, I don't know how that would have occurred either. I'm just...
Guess is as good as mine. You guys are the experts.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out.
Julene keeps consigning the truth to the so-called experts. If she can't explain something, she can't explain it, she says. It's not her job. But she's on dangerous ground here. With each non-answer, her defense weakens.
The gun that was used to kill Jeremy, the .357, the one that you guys used as a range for qualification. Where was that normally kept?
Normally?
Yes.
I don't know about normally. I believe that gun was in our china cabinet.
Okay.
At that time.
All right. Was that a usual place to keep it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It would be in there, sometimes not.
All right. Is there any reason that you can think of that a DNA swab of the curio cabinet would only have your DNA on it?
Absolutely not. Nor can I say why the back door would not have Jeremy's DNA, since that was the door that everybody used to get into the house.
Sometimes it's DNA evidence that breaks a case wide open. In this case, it's the lack of DNA that's most telling.
In interviewing people that knew you and Jeremy, they described you both as a security-conscious couple, okay? You had an alarm system on your house, and even though the alarm was not being monitored by an alarm company, when the bottom room doors would open, the chime would sound. You had the driveway alarm, which I understand was probably more to stop people from getting bit by the dogs so you could get out to the dogs. Is that an accurate assumption?
About the driveway alarm?
Yeah, why did you have the driveway alarm?
Because sometimes you wouldn't hear people coming in.
Okay. So would you agree with the assertion that others have made that you were a security-conscious couple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a security-conscious couple in a very low crime rate area.
I would not call it low crime rate, by the way. Our property had been broken into several times. The neighbors had stuff stolen. This was not the only incident in the neighborhood.
According to national statistics, Vermilion, Ohio is safer than 59% of U.S. cities. Its annual violent crime rate sits at 0.19 per 1,000 residents, far below the national average of 4. Your chance of becoming a victim of violent crime in Vermilion is 1 in 5,352. Julene asserts that she and Jeremy were that one, victims of a random, deadly burglary. But that violent crime statistic covers more than just attacks by strangers. It includes domestic homicides as well.
We'll agree to disagree on whether or not it's a low crime rate area, okay? But we have a security-conscious couple. There's only the two of you in the house. You go to bed that night. You have dogs that bark all around your property. You have an alarm system in your driveway. Mm-hmm. You have an alarm system on your house. And I understand it's not being monitored by an alarm company.
It was not even on. We hadn't used that, to be clear.
According to Julene, they'd had break-ins into their barn in the past, where they stored the equipment for their tree business. Someone had stolen chainsaws and other tools. A neighbor, however, said they suspected the culprit was a disgruntled employee, not a dangerous criminal. After the burglary, Jeremy and Julene installed a gate and a sensor on their driveway that let out a sound in the house when triggered. There were similar sensors on the doors in their house.
So we're left with the officers get there, they check the residence. There is no forced entry into the residence. None whatsoever.
How did they get in?
The back door was open. The screen door was closed, the back door was open. The 357 that was used...
Because I remember them saying something about asking to knock down the door or something, or gain entry.
Who did that?
I thought I remember, either I read it somewhere, or I remember hearing it on the phone that they had asked if they could, I think the 911 operator asked me if they could come into the house, the police, and of course I said yes.
And then the 911 operator asked you if they had permission to break in the door?
I thought that's what I remember.
Okay.
Julene tries to explain away the unlocked back door, the door that Jeremy supposedly locked, but doesn't have any of his DNA or fingerprints on.
Tried to get in through the front door, which was secured, and they kicked it several times and could not gain entry. Okay, and they came around to the back by the kitchen, and the screen door is closed, the other door is open. They find the 357 that was used to shoot Jeremy laying on the floor. Okay, it has 6 rounds in it, 5 are live, 1 has been expended.
Julene has a key to the back door. She could have gone out there to plant evidence. The unidentified footsteps, as well as the dropped black gloves, which had both Jeremy and Julene's DNA on them. After that, she could have dropped the .357 Magnum in the kitchen. One thing's clear. No stranger forced their way into a locked house.
All the neighbors were canvassed. Nobody heard any barking dogs. And we're left with 2 people in the house. One is dead, one is not. Typically, that lends itself to making you the prime suspect. I mean, you can see where I'm coming from here, correct? Okay. Agree with me or not agree with me? I mean, can you see at least the logic of where I'm coming from? Okay. All right. Now we add to that some other issues.
Sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. What if there was no mystery home invader? What if it was Julene all along? Julene and Jeremy met when Julene was still in high school. She was dating another man at the time, but she started seeing Jeremy anyway. When her boyfriend found out, according to a mutual friend from back then, she encouraged him to try to fight Jeremy.
You know, I felt like she orchestrated him to get beat up by Jeremy. And then after that, she started dating Jeremy.
The friend suggests that Julene is a manipulative character, and he has his doubts about her story.
When I heard the story of what supposedly happened, I'm like, there's no way somebody would break into that house. There's just absolutely not. You know, I don't know if you guys thought somebody randomly just, you know, went in there to rob the house. I'm like, that's just insane. That would be the house that you would pick. One with cameras on it, and, you know, owner will shoot you signs or whatever they said in the front yard.
Julene's story just doesn't make sense, and he doesn't rule out that they could have been violent with each other.
You know, she was a very aggressive and, you know, wanted things her way, and he was the same way.
Other associates of the couple confirm this. Jeremy's cousin has a damning story to tell about a confession Jeremy once made to him.
Dude, I gotta tell you, he goes, I hit Jolene. He goes, they were arguing about something, and either he hit her or he threw her up against the wall, grabbed her by the throat, and put her up against the wall.
Julene's not the only one with a troubled past. Jeremy was once attacked, and he fought off his attacker with an axe. His cousin also reveals an incident of animal abuse, about which Jeremy was interviewed by the police back in the 90s.
I know he shot a dog in Wellington. He was, thinking maybe in his early teens.
What was that all about?
He was going to camp out in a tent overnight at a farm. The farmer said that there were a lot of stray dogs running around.
Sure.
I think he had a .22 with him, and he did see a dog, and he shot it.
Jeremy also had a history of bad relationships. His ex-fiancée has nothing good to say about him.
He was kind of like stalking us, and like he knew all our information and license plate numbers, and the old boyfriend like bold.
She called the police on him after he attacked her boyfriend's dog. He cut its throat. He was apparently a dangerous man. Meanwhile, after Jeremy's death, Julene briefly dated a man named Sheldon. He too has something interesting to share with the cops. He once slapped her during an argument.
When I was apologizing to her about slapping her, this kind of scared me. She said, "Oh, I've been hit harder than that. I'm not worried about that." I kind of felt like a piece of crap.
Jeremy and Julene's relationship is beginning to sound like the perfect storm of two volatile people. And it's about to get even more complicated.
You had what could at best be described, and I'm very sorry to bring it up, but I think it bears mentioning here. A very traumatic event happened to you when you were a child. You were sexually abused by your father, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. And that happened for a period of years, correct? Okay. And are you familiar with this document that I have here?
Without reading the whole thing.
I'm in no rush. You can take your time and read the whole thing.
So far, the investigators haven't broken any new ground. But this document is what changed everything. And the reason they brought Julene in over 4 years later. The investigators have been going through the couple's personal files. They've found various pornographic photos and videos, and they found a handwritten 14-page master-slave father-daughter agreement. The agreement stipulated that Julene would be submissive to Jeremy. In the context of Julene's past trauma, this raises red flags for the investigators.
How long into the relationship did you guys have what you would call the father-daughter relationship? I mean, is this something that started right away, or?
I don't really remember, like, at what point.
I mean, is this something that is years old, or is this something that is months old?
I have no idea. When we put that together.
Okay. You don't have any idea. You don't remember if it was 5 years ago or 7 years ago or 2 years ago?
I mean,
okay.
It wasn't something that, like, we just did.
Okay.
I think it was something that we probably had for a while.
Who introduced this into the relationship?
We both did.
My concern is, given the events of everything that have happened, are you saying that you are a willing participant for all of that?
I was a willing participant in everything that went on in the
Okay.
bedroom.
All right. There was none of that you were ever forced to do?
No.
Okay. All right. You can understand, I think, why we might ask you those questions given the circumstances we have here. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with this kind of dominant-submissive relationship if it's totally consensual. The cops, however, are wondering if it wasn't. And if it wasn't, if Julene was uncomfortable with it in some way because of what she'd been through in the past, would she have killed him to get out of it? An old client of the couple can shed some light on this.
The relationship that I observed over there was odd. She didn't talk. She wasn't really allowed to talk to people. She was never allowed out of his eyesight. She didn't want to climb up in the tree. He would yell at her and scream at her and berate her openly with profanities in front of me when she was up in the tree. And believe me, I wouldn't want to go 70 feet up in that big tree. But he forced her to go up there and do trimming. I think there were two reasons why he worked on the weekends. One, it was a matter of visibility for his business. He was the guy working Saturdays and Sundays when most people were off, so it looked good. Number two, and I never saw him hit her physically, but my own opinion is if he did hit her, he beat her up on Sunday night, and she had all week to hide because they weren't out on the weekdays. They had all week to hide for her bruises to recover, is the way that I would look at it.
The client witnessed Jeremy mistreating Julene, and he displayed some odd sexual behavior as well.
What ended up happening was Jeremy sent some pretty graphic pornography paper, like mail, out of the back of these magazines to my office.
The client's also aware of the pornographic photos involving Julene.
I do know that you guys probably found those photos of her. Now, I never saw them, but I knew they were there, and they wanted to show them to me, but I said I didn't want to see them.
Did they say why they wanted to show them to you?
No, but it was about the same time that she came down with the article about him slitting that dog's throat. Well, I would understand them to be mild forms of pornography involving Julene Simcoe.
Jeremy, it seems, had a habit of crossing boundaries.
Did he verbally abuse you when you were on the job?
I don't know. He yelled at everybody on the job site. It was usually a stressful place. So have I ever gotten yelled at on a job site? Probably. Have I done yelling on a job site? I'm sure I have.
Yeah. Was he a jealous individual, his husband?
I don't think so, no.
No. Was he controlling?
I guess we were both controlling over certain aspects of our life.
Okay.
So it depends on what exactly you're asking about.
Okay.
The investigators are drawing parallels, hoping to provoke a confession.
Had your father ever apologized to you for the actions he'd inflicted on you?
Nope.
Okay. Did you still resent that?
I didn't resent it. It wasn't even something I thought about on a daily basis.
It didn't
I
bother
had
you?
resolved that in my life long before.
At what point in your life do you think you resolved that?
I don't know. I went through a lot of counseling for it.
Okay. How many years would you say you went through counseling for that?
I have no idea.
I mean, 2, 7?
I don't know. I was young.
Okay. All right. Here's why I asked the question. Clearly, it was a horrific thing that was done to you by your father. It's horrific, inexcusable. Okay. I'm sure you're aware that during the course of the investigation, subsequent to the search warrants, that we seized the computer equipment, and that computer equipment was examined. When we talk about, there are a number of issues that arise, such as I've laid out for you already, that would tend to make you the prime suspect, okay? 11 hours before your husband is found dead, someone is on the computer in your house pulling up your father's obituary. Now, why would that be, and who would do that?
Julene denies that her trauma with her father still weighs on her mind. But the very night before Jeremy's murder, someone made an internet search on the couple's computer for her father's obituary.
Well, first of all, I would like to see that, proof of that, because I don't think that ever happened.
Well, we have that proof.
Well, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what time it was and everything else.
Oh, we can tell you exactly. It happened at 18:57 and 03 seconds on July 17, 2009. And if you go to this URL, this website, you'll pull up exactly this obituary.
You said July 17th?
No. November 7th. I may have said July. November 17th. It's 11 hours before the homicide was called in. So roughly 11 hours before your husband is shot, a person that you have a father-daughter slave relationship, role play, as you say, someone pulls up the obituary of the very person that had a father-daughter sexual relationship with you. That makes one wonder if there is a nexus here or a tie-in with this. I mean, you can understand how we might be concerned about that.
I can understand. I'm telling you, I am not the one that...
Okay. Is there any reason Jeremy would have done that?
No idea.
The cops are presenting Julene with their version of events, hoping she'll crack.
So someone took the time in between the time Jeremy was shot to clean that weapon of any blowback. Here's the really interesting thing. If we assume your theory that there is an intruder in the home, don't you think the intruder would be in a hurry to leave if he heard the shots that you fired?
I would say, yeah.
Okay. But yet this intruder, who gained access to the house without setting off the door alarm, without being caught on the camera, without setting off any of the driveway alarm, without making any of the dogs bark, without being noticed by any outside sources, without forcing entry into the home, has made his way into a darkened home, has found a gun on a curio cabinet that bears only your DNA, removes a gun from a holster, goes upstairs to the room where you and Jeremy typically sleep together. That person has to lean across the bed, get within 2 inches of Jeremy's head, pull the trigger, shoot him in the back of the head, taking his life instantaneously. Then, follow me here, please. Then, yes, he was shot in the back of the head. Okay, so follow me now. You see why we have the concerns we have.
Julene won't give in.
You're assuming...
Every other door was secured. No, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I am going where the evidence leads me. I wasn't there. You were there. I'm only going where the evidence in this case leads me.
Too,
but I'm going where the evidence leads.
Did you also look into the break-ins that happened? Because there were a number of things with footprints and stuff that were never resolved. And a fingerprint that I remember hearing the detective talk about, whatever became of that.
Julene, everything was looked at. Everything was looked at.
And you came up with nothing.
What have we come up with on this case?
It's a big part of Julene's defense that the area was beset by crime. In fact, the very morning after she was released from the hospital, a day after her husband's death, she called the police again, this time to report a break-in. The responding officers found the safe tampered with and the surveillance system missing. Julene claimed that $2,000 had been stolen. That case, too, went cold. The police never worked out who did it, if it was a stranger at all. The cops have interviewed the contractor who came to replace the safe after the break-in, and he doesn't think it was a break-in at all.
Why would you use that crowbar?
You wouldn't. That's the whole point. That's almost like a setup. Something to throw in there that, like, they tried to use that.
He found the tip of a fire poker in the hinge of the safe, but a poker couldn't have been used on this type of safe.
There wouldn't be enough room to get a poker in there because here's a safe right here like that. It's on the seam. There's not enough room to get a poker in there.
Julene put the poker tip in a bag, saying she'd show it to the cops.
And it's interesting because we've never been contacted that Julene took that. I mean,
Because
I had no idea.
It was there, and she brought out a plastic bag. We put it in the bag, and that was it.
Almost like she didn't actually want the cops to see it.
On this particular occasion, we have him taking sleeping pills for the first time in a while. We have you going upstairs to sleep, which you rarely do, and you have his automatic weapon, which is no longer in his nightstand, but in yours. I mean, I just find that coincidental. If any one of those circumstances didn't exist, things may have been different. I don't know. I mean, you have any explanation for any of that? No. Did you?
Yeah, just.
Had you slept upstairs on the third floor?
That used to be our bedroom up there.
There's one last piece of the puzzle. Another fragment of damning evidence for Julene.
Julene, do you recall when you were in the emergency room at Community Hospital, when the emergency room asked you what happened, you saying, "I shot my husband"?
No, I didn't say that because I didn't shoot my husband.
Okay. You're emphatically saying you never made that
that
statement. Okay.
The problem is, a nurse remembers her saying just this.
And I asked her, so what's going on? And she mumbled something. I wasn't for sure what I had heard. So I asked her again what she said. I thought that she had said, "I shot my husband." And I asked her again, "What did you just say?" And she said, "My husband was shot."
Was it a mistake or a Freudian slip? With that, the interview is over.
I very much thank you again for coming.
But the cops' case against Julene isn't. She might not have confessed, but according to the state, her story just isn't believable. It would require an extraordinary number of coincidences and a killer who's a ghost. The cops talked to the 2 911 operators who handled her call that fateful morning. Playing the call out loud, the operators analyze it in real time and come to some damning conclusions.
There's no way she's doing chest compressions holding her phone.
When Julene said she was doing CPR, she actually wasn't. She was just sitting beside her husband's dead body. According to a professional 911 call analyst, her call had 10 markers of a guilty caller to just 4 markers of an innocent caller. The professionals accept that this isn't an exact science, but things like her resistance to answer, her conflicting facts, and the inappropriate order of her sentences all ring as red flags. At a party a few months after Jeremy's death, a friend asked Julene a question.
I said, "Julene, do you think Jeremy knows who shot him?" And she said, "Yeah, he knows," and that was it.
She refused to say anything else, but she'd said enough already. On December 19th, 2014, Julene Simcoe is indicted on charges of aggravated murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. Jeremy has been dead for 5 years. Julene opts for a bench trial, meaning the verdict will be handed down by a single judge. The state presents over a dozen witnesses. They suggest as motive both Jeremy's controlling treatment, which they imply reminded her of her own abusive father, and financial greed. She pocketed $6,000 in life insurance and tried to convince Jeremy's father to pay for the funeral because she was broke. He refused, knowing there was undeclared life insurance money in play, which would go some way toward paying off her debts. The defense doesn't call a single witness to the stand, not even Julene herself, and ultimately, the evidence speaks for itself.
This court finds that there was sufficient evidence to establish, by proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that Mrs. Simcoe was her husband's murderer.
She's found guilty on October 20th, 2017, nearly 8 years after killing her husband. For 5 of those years, she walked free, believing she'd gotten away with it. Now she's been sentenced to 28 years in prison. In 2021, she tries to appeal, but her conviction is upheld. Today, she's held in Ohio Reformatory for Women, and Jeremy's family, with whom he never had the chance to reconcile, grieve his loss. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, the U.S. National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7, 365. 1-800-799-SAFE 7233 or thehotline.org. What do you think about this chilling story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder.